game plan going into in the sectional play, we discovered that we're on a very weird green, which shouldn't matter really, but we tried some different things and really they didn't work. Some different lengths we were mucking around with, but then we kind of just, I think it was Sam that says, let's just settle to something that was working for us. So instead of trying to put the opposition under pressure, and we really ended up by not putting ourselves under pressure, be more to the point, and playing a length that was suiting us. So then leading on, when we got through, we then had a big delay. Like we won our section. I think from memory we won our 3 games. Sam, tell me if I'm wrong, but I think we did. I think we won through clearly. So there was no question that we then had to play post-sectional. Then we had a big wait, waiting for a team to arrive from somewhere else. So again, we're talking probably about a 6 o'clock start or something for our one and only, I think it was, post-sectional game. So just staying with it, staying keen. Yes, I was looking forward to it for the post-sectional, for the people to show up. Then, of course, you've got quite a few, another 2.5 hours it takes, I think. I can't be, about 2 hours at least. And then, you know, big drivers before you get there and things like that. Well, for me anyway, but that didn't matter. And then just gauging how a game is going. Now, that wasn't really a challenge because I always could talk with you and we could discuss it, what we want to do, and it wasn't my input, it was our input that worked out a lot of the issues we were having, if we had issues. Well, we did. Nothing goes totally to plan. But, yeah, I think the fact that we could converse with each other, and at that point, I think we had a pretty good mutual respect and we got to understand each other's games a bit more and what our strengths were as well. It was something I knew would work, and just because I thought we were on the same page, so that's for me, that was good. Anyway,
primarily you're always going to start with your game plan, and that will always be, you know, you're playing lengths, long lengths, but then you also needed to consider the strengths and weaknesses of your opposition, but also playing up there was a lot of different condition greens and you might get patchy areas. So just to avoid those patchy areas, you need to put the mat in place. With different formats, I think it also depends on how you approach the different formats. So to me personally, I've always felt pairs is more of a partnership than a...
Yeah.
I mean, the skip always dictates the game plan and whatnot, but to me, it's a collaboration, pairs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and always the benefit of being a lead is you get to dictate the length.
Yeah, yeah, and you did that very well. You did that very well, I felt. So, yeah, once we decided what we were, you very rarely rolled it anywhere else but where we were heading. So, yeah.
Well, we also tend to practice, you know, ultra short or ultra long. There's not much point in practicing medium because it's a comfortable length that the general population tends to play. I mean, pennant is so 3/4 length, it's not funny. Very rarely do you see... I mean, one side will play long and then you know, the opposition will grab possession of the mat, so they do the complete opposite.
Yeah,
very little strategic element to do with dictating the length.
No, I just recalling, and tell me, I think this is what we did on that. In our sectional play, I reckon we played 3/4 to long. Because the green was dodgy, we sort of guessed that our opposition may struggle with the longer ends. So I think we did sort of play a lengthier game. It wasn't necessarily a full length. It was a bit more than medium though, from my memory. It was like a 3/4 length the whole time. Sort of suited us, I think.
If you're talking about preparation for the Victorian Open, I probably did not put in near enough preparation that I would have liked. And quite frankly, it amazed me that I got as far as I did. But I know that my physical preparation in terms of exercise made a contribution, and also my mental attitude to, you know, you're standing up for hours on end, but you're doing that day after day after day. That'll wear most people out. So a lot of my success there probably had to do with my attitude to how I would tackle that. And also I made considered decisions to do with what I was eating. It's all about preparation. Well, first of all, if they wanted to play bowls and they were quite young, I would say don't make it the only sport you play. You learn about, you got to play team sport. You got to learn about a variety of other sports, and you'll find that there's different. You pretty much pick up the same skills from team sports, just that they have different application depending on what sport you're playing. But definitely, I don't think I would still be playing bowls now if I had taken it up at, say, the age of 20 or 15. I didn't start playing bowls until I was 30, and I only did that because I was coming to the end of my netball career. So I was in a physical situation where the knees just couldn't cope with the netball anymore, so I had to give it away. But because I love competition, and I had family already playing bowls, I just thought, okay, I'll give it a go because I don't have anything else to do, so I'll try, and I kept doing it. I love the competition, but to me it's like a more of a mental challenge than anything.
Yeah, if you're new to sport, get out there, put down lots of bowls, be open-minded, try not to get too much of the jargon in your head, and love it. It is a great competition. I'm with Sam. I played tennis as well as playing when I first started bowls, and I've always loved team sports. So yeah, it's a great team sport. I believe you need to be training probably about 3 times a week, and even by yourself or with one other person, doing what Locke would call the proper training when you're with a purpose. So I didn't always do that, but I always did something like it, not as good as I'm currently doing, I believe. So if you're getting into sport, then you need to, get a lot of bowls down. The other thing that is good is learn how to communicate out there well. There's a whole lot of, when you join bowls, I'll call it the jargon of bowls, which is often a load of BS. So if you can get past that jargon and look at it like, no, I really want to tell that person that they need to draw just under that bowl, not wave your hand that way or something like that, then I think it'd be better. It's almost like it can be seen a bit lazy when people get out there. So not to be lazy, really, is to really put the time and effort in. And that goes as far as your thinking as well, and to be able to be open to lots of things. And I think I've learned a lot about also the communication side of it as well, to be able to communicate to your teammates. And as a singles player, really just focusing on technique, knowing that I've got the shots up my sleeve and being prepared to play them anytime. So yeah, practicing all the shots and just having them. I think we've discussed this amongst our pBus group quite a lot, but it's true. And I know that Robert's thing of the Australian indoors, he said exactly the same thing, that if you know that you can do it and you've done it a million times, then the chance is that you'll probably do it again without too much, how can I put it, stress or thinking about it. So you just do it. You just know you can do it.
Probably not expecting to win the game, but I did. And the stuff going on in my head was like, oh, geez, now you've won this, which means now you've got to play again. So it's not like I was self-sabotaging, but I was always focused on, essentially, the bowl in my hand is all I can control. I mean, it's very easy for you to switch off and say, okay, I've done as much as I think I can and I don't want to persist anymore. But I never once had that attitude. I never once had that conversation with myself. It was stunning to me that I went as far as I did, given that personally I don't think I put in the preparation that I should have for an event like that. But I put it down to my physical preparation and my mental attitude.
Oh, it's a good question. I think just being, maybe just being myself a little bit and just being friendly. We were uplifting for each other, and I hope I was able to do that. I certainly saw in the triples when I was up one end and somebody had put one down the wrong bias, I think, on our team, but I don't remember exactly. But I saw both Sam and Trish comforting or geeing each other on. When we crossed over in the triples, I would, you know, like say things to them, what a great, you know, we'll keep it going, great bowls, you know, I can't believe everyone's going, blah, 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 you know, just some sort of little snippet of positivity, I hope. I hope I tried to think. So I think so in the pairs as well. We weren't like, we were serious, but we were trying to be light with that seriousness. We were trying to sort of bounce off each other, but we didn't want to pound each other. So it was more a light, bouncy feeling of happiness to be out there, really, doing it. So I think that was it. I think I'm more a happier person than a sad person. So I hope that rubs off. And I think that sort of brings a more, you don't worry about it so much, you work through it and we bounce and off each other. So yeah, I think that's what I tried to do, and that's probably who I kind of am anyway. So we were able to keep it light, keep it cheery, be supportive. I suppose the game plan was come up basically through lots of discussion with current pBus crew in Melbourne, to be honest. I had heard with people like Dan Mars and that what they were doing. And so Sam had been privy to a lot of that type of game plan idea. And the game plan was get bowls within a mat's width. I think for her it was, we were looking at least to have bowls within a mat's width, at least two of them, maybe one behind with her bowls, but also to always be looking for second shot. I think that was the thing that we tried the hardest to do. And we did have an idea to vary the lengths, short and then long. But the other thing is, which we found most important, was to be able to change our game plan as we go to what was suiting us best and against our particular opposition. So yeah, it was getting to know your opposition, what the greens were like, and as I indicated, some of the conditions in the greens were a little bit difficult, so we had to adjust as on the run. And I suppose the other part of our game plan is we discussed it and we came to our own plan as we went. So yeah, that was more or less it. So always get second shot at the very minimum, but we'll be looking for at least a couple of good bowls with a mat's length or even mat's width if we can of the head. Yep. And then attack or add whatever we had to do.
I think with a game plan, it actually helps you to mentally be focused on what your outcome is, what your desired outcome is. Because if you don't have a game plan, and you know, you might feel like you're forever chasing the result rather than sticking to what your objective is. So Alison's right about the second shot. That was a very basic. I mean, if that was all your game plan was, that would be sufficient. you know, just to always have second shot. Always having a back bowl is also important. So in terms of my role as a lead, I think that's very straightforward and understood.
Mm. Okay, well, as far as playing time with Sam, we had played 3 games in the Yarra State pairs together. That was useful in the sense that I learnt a lot about how to communicate with Sam. I hadn't played with her before, and I followed that. I learnt quickly, and I think I followed that through, and I think every other game I'll ever play with Sam from now on, I will know the sort of information she needs when she's bowling. So just having those 3 games was good, but we didn't really need to have played in a sense at all together. And that might sound weird, because I knew that I could talk to her and we would be on a similar wavelength, because we understood the game plan. We knew that we were equals, that we could go through this game and work things out. Now, I only knew that because I know that she believes a lot in what the pBus squad talk about continually, about communication, game plans, and the rest of it. So I know that was a given. So that was a really nice feeling for me to know that I had someone there. And I was really looking forward to putting it all on, you know, having a go at doing that, because this would have been the very first game, other than I played with Simon in his pairs, and we did the same there. But to play again with a member of our pBus squad, to put all that I had been soaking up from Lock and Crew to good purpose.
So with women in bowls, I never started in the era where women weren't allowed to play on Saturdays. So I started playing when I was about 30, and I played, I mean, at the club I started at, there was very few women playing on Saturdays. In fact, most of the time I was probably the only woman in the 16 that I was playing with. But I think that's you could say it's representative of the culture or representative of the individual. It doesn't bother me personally if I'm the only female in a group of 16. That's just the way it is. And I'm confident enough in myself that I can deal with 15 males of varying personalities. And I personally haven't played bowls with a lot of other women. So I think it just comes down to the attitude of the individual. I would say 100% without any doubt that my game would not be what it is if I only played with women. Women play the game differently to men. Men are not necessarily more aggressive, but they're certainly more assertive, where women are very conservative. But having said that, there are a lot of men who play conservatively.
Yeah.
But that is the general. It's a generalisation, but I think that's quite accurate.
It's there's 2 phases. I think the more younger people play, the more it will get a little bit more upbeat, if you call it that, a little bit more, and the women might be a bit more assertive and they might play different bowls, and I think that will happen. But yeah, so I don't ever see it terribly men and women anymore. I see it more young and old. And that's maybe because I've got old. But no, it always was. Even when I was younger, I felt differently about the way I played to some of the older people. And I'm sure and I started about 30 as well. So I've had 30 years. So yeah, I think it's more that. So I don't think the women issue is a big thing anymore. I think it's more the age and how bowls can be across the ages. It work.
I think it's a little bit of both, actually, because I distinctly remember a tournament I played in many, many years ago, where there was quite an older chap playing in the opposition, and I drove, And his comment was, women don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I got that too. Yeah. Yes. Or it's not on. No. Yeah, you're right.
I would never say that a man doesn't know what they're talking about. In fact, I don't distinguish between men and women that way. I treat them as a human being. And then if they don't know what they're talking about, then that's a separate issue. But it's got nothing to do with being a man or a woman.
Yeah.
It's to do with whether you're comfortable in your own skin. And if you are, you tend not to judge people because they're men or women. You surround yourself with the right people, you can do great things.
Oh, Sam, well spoken. Yeah, true.